I am recording. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. This is Easy Vegan Eating. You're here because you want to get a wealth of information, and Bailey and I are going to impart that onto you. You don't have to take notes. Just sit back, relax, try to absorb. Like, just be a sponge. Take as much in as you can. And if you have questions, please add them in the chat. We want to make sure that you're understanding the things that we're talking about. And then, my background is I'm a volunteer with the Humane League. I have my volunteer captain shirt. I've been a volunteer captain for a couple months now. It's been really awesome. And for Veganuary, I wanted to, create a presentation that talks about the hardest part about being vegan is just the learning curve. There's just so much you have to know. And I remember when I first became vegan, I spent like 3 months just struggling to figure out what to eat. And it was a very painful process. And I'm sure many people go through that as well. Bailey and I worked really hard. We spent probably collectively like 12 hours putting as much information into this presentation as we could so that other people don't have to have the same painful experience that I did. Bailey, do you want to tell everyone about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Bailey Keywell, and I'm also a captain with the Humane League, but I didn't get the memo. We were too busy working on the presentation to actually coordinate both wearing the same shirt. But I'm a captain with the Humane League. I've been vegan since the very beginning of 2017, so almost 4 years now. And I definitely had a good 6 months that I was transitioning into veganism. And I would take in everything I could. I would like find websites, find books, find podcasts, everything I could to help me make the transition easiest. And when Ethan was saying that we wanted to have, like we were doing events to help people on their vegan journeys, especially in Veganuary, I brought up that it would be nice to kind of teach people how to dine out. And then he was talking also about grocery shopping. So we thought it'd be great to just kind of meld it together and give you the resources you need so that whether you're at the grocery store or a restaurant, you're able to find healthy, delicious vegan food much easier than if you just went into it blindly without having any resources.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. All right, let's get into it. So,
and then, I do want to mention, yes, definitely put all your questions in the chat, even during. We will get to the questions. We'll do it at the end, but feel free to put them in the chat as soon as you have them, and we'll get to them at the end.
yeah, like right now, looking at this Venn diagram, my question would be like, what are these things? What does this mean? So, defining veganism, I think it's important when we start off this conversation because, we were advertising to Veganuary people. So people that are new to veganism, vegan can kind of be an all-encompassing term. It's, for me, like I had ethical reasons for wanting to be vegan. I didn't want to contribute to factory farming and the suffering of animals. And so my part of the Venn diagram is going to be different than other people's. And so let me just like quickly, like Bailey and I came up with a general definition of what veganism is. And that will kind of set the stage for the rest of the presentation, just so that we're all on the same page. So veganism is the act of abstaining from animal products. This mainly means excluding meat, dairy, and eggs from your diet. This also includes honey for most vegans. And so now I have this visual because, I want people to focus on the center of the Venn diagram, right? For most people, being vegan, it means abstaining from meat, dairy, and eggs. And that really is the focus when you're first starting out. I remember when I first started out, like, I didn't know about all the things outside of the circle. I didn't know about palm oil and these other vegan concepts. And so it was really overwhelming at first. And our presentation is about easy vegan eating, right? We want people to really be able to just focus on those three main things: meat, dairy, and eggs. And then with time, you'll be able to branch outwards the more that you know, the more that you learn about veganism. But for the sake of this presentation, Bailey and I really focused on those three things. But you can come back to this and, if you want to learn more about how, zoonotic reasons, I added that because of the pandemic, but like there really are many reasons you can be vegan. And so it is interesting. This is by no means the full picture as well. This is just what I put together on Canva. But yeah, just that's just the starting point is focus on the center and build outwards.
Okay, so you might not know there are so many foods that just happen to be vegan. The company didn't necessarily set out to make them vegan. They might not even have a little like thing on the package that says they're vegan, but they just happen to not include meat, dairy, eggs, or honey. Um, uh, the one that really pushed me over the edge was honestly Oreos. I was like, I could never be vegan. And I told my friend who was vegan, I could never be vegan because Oreos. And she was like, oh, but they're vegan. So it's really exciting. Oreo, I think they're almond milk's favorite cookie, but Oreos are vegan. We have so many different cereals and boxed, rice and pastas, even like Campbell's mushroom gravy, different breads, marine calendars, apple pie, potato chips, Ritz crackers, Jello flan, Aunt Jemima's pancakes, LaCroix. There's so many things out there that are vegan. Definitely, this isn't the only list of things that just happen to be vegan that the company didn't necessarily set out. So there is the link that is at the very bottom of the page or at the very bottom of the slide. And that's a link that PETA put together to show all these different vegan foods that you might not have known were vegan.
Yeah, and just a quick story I want to share about this. When I became vegan, I watched a video online, and then I immediately lost my appetite for like food. I didn't know what to eat, and so one of my my saving grace was this PETA article at the bottom. Accidentally vegan foods. I found out that peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were vegan, and I basically survived off that for like a month. I wish I was like being hyperbolic, but that that was like how I like became vegan. It was like I found things that were accidentally vegan. I built from that, and I like just my variety and like what I could eat grew because I was doing more research. But for people that wanted to start being vegan, it's important to know like what you already are eating that is vegan. These are like processed things that like are vegan and they aren't labeled that way, but also beans, rice, vegetables, like all those things are also vegan because they're not derived from animal products. So let's keep going. Cool. So there's a lot of information on this slide. I know it can look overwhelming at first, but I want to introduce this concept of vegan hacking. We're going to talk about this a lot in this presentation. Just like the concept of life hacking, vegan hacking is making things easier that like are at first complicated. So vegan hacking nutrition labels is how most vegans learn how to figure out if something is vegan or not. The number one way, so there's like a process, right? We have like 1 through 4 steps. The first step is there a vegan label on it? Like that's the easiest thing. At the top of the slide, you see there's 4 different things: certified vegan. If there's a V or like it says vegan on it, that's usually a good sign that it's vegan. And so you don't have to spend any more time looking at the label. The second thing would be on the nutrition facts. If there is no cholesterol, that's a good sign that it's also vegan, or at least there's no dairy in it. Cholesterol comes only from like animal products, so if there's no cholesterol, that's a good sign. Saturated trans fats, it's similar, like oils are usually derived from animal products. This isn't like 100%, but at least it'll give you like a quick glance of saying, okay, this is probably, it might be vegan.
And then we see that in the contain section, they're going to list allergens like milk and eggs. So at least in the United States, I think also in Canada, if you live in a different country, you might have to honestly check the guidelines. But I know that in the United States, they have to either say contains or in bold in the ingredients list show you that it has milk and eggs because it's considered an allergen. Something a lot of people do get confused about, though, is when a product on the back says may contain. When it says may contain, it doesn't mean that, milk or eggs or whatever it may contain is actually an ingredient in the product. It just means that it was made in a facility where it could be subject to cross contamination. So there's a possibility it has trace amounts of that because it was made on similar equipment. And everybody, on their vegan journey feels differently about that. So, but I just want to let you know if it says may contain, it doesn't mean that they actually used milk or eggs. It just, they have to cover for liability. Um, And then, so in the ingredient section are any of the non-vegan ingredients listed, like milk, eggs. Obviously, you know, if it has meat in it, it's going to list that it has meat in the actual ingredients. Fish, lobster, shrimp. And then after going through this process and not finding anything non-vegan, you can enjoy your delicious guilt-free food. And we also have a little link on the bottom to reading food labels and goes into more depth if you need to see that.
Awesome. One more thing I want to add before we move on is that I went through and I looked up every like non-vegan like food ingredient. And even if you don't know what like shellac is right now, like at least now you know it's all like all the bad ingredients that are like non-vegan are in one place. And you can literally go back to this slide when you're shopping if you don't know what, you know, to look for. And now you can refer to this slide and hopefully it'll make it really easy when you're going through this process. Like you don't need to have these memorized because it's just right there for you. So hopefully that makes it easier as well. Cool.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some popular grocery stores. A big myth that we want to bust is that vegan is not a different food group. Every single grocery store is going to have lots of vegan foods. They're going to have fruits, veggies, beans, rice, pastas. But even with that said, when you're wanting to look for, you know, vegan cheeses or tofu or vegan processed plant-based meats, even a lot of local grocery stores have plant-based sections with vegan cheeses, vegan plant-based meats, and other vegan junk foods. A lot of times this is located near the tofu. And then we wanted to put some links here of the top 15 vegan-friendly supermarkets and a link to just an exhaustive vegan grocery list. And then obviously there's a lot more than just these 4: Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Walmart, and Target, but all of those stores actually do have a lot of vegan foods, and we have links that you can click on that'll actually show you what that store sells that is vegan. So if you're going to go to Walmart and you want to just, you know, go kind of stock up your pantry with different vegan foods that you want to try, you can click on the vegan finds at Walmart and you'll see all these different things that they sell, which is really nice. That these stores are doing this. They're obviously doing this because vegan and plant-based foods are really popular. So they're catering to their customers to make sure that they can find the foods that they need for their lifestyle.
Awesome. Cool.
And then, the main reason we even started this was that one of us had the idea of talking even just about fast food and restaurants. So the top of the link at the very top of the slide, fast food guide, is actually a pretty exhaustive link that shows way more than just these specific places where you can get vegan food at different restaurants. For myself, I love going to Chipotle and I go all the time. I actually just went the other day and we will get the sofritas, which is like a tofu like meat, fajitas, tortillas, rice, beans, salsas. You just want to at Chipotle stay away from meat, queso dip, cheese, sour cream. But I actually have eaten at all of these places since going vegan. They're vegan options, except I haven't yet tried Ike's sandwiches, which I'm looking forward to trying. I just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, I actually have been to Ike's a few times actually, but what I love about Ike's is that they have a vegetarian menu list, and you can actually order off that menu and just say make it vegan, and they actually know what to do in terms of like changing the cheese or making sure the meat doesn't have any animal products. So Ike's is like super easy to have like a really different, unique sandwich. I also love Blaze Pizza. I have a picture on the slide of a Blaze Pizza. You can actually order like vegan. They make tofu in a creative way where it's like tastes like chicken, and they have like the original dough and vegan cheese. And if you do a build your own, you can just stack it with like veggies, and that's another favorite of mine. But there's so many places that you can go that have vegan options now, and definitely check out that fast food guide because it has kind of a more all-encompassing. We just picked like some of our favorite fast food places and like how to order vegan, but there's way more that we did include. So Definitely
And
check.
I want to mention that next to Del Taco, next to Taco Bell, next to Starbucks, those are actually links for vegan options that that company has. So they have more. Obviously, Del Taco has more than just those as far as vegan, Taco Bell, Starbucks. But here's some just basics.
Yeah.
It didn't switch over for mine, did it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so restaurants. One of the scariest things when, for me at least, when I first went vegan is, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when I go out to a restaurant with family and friends and I feel like the pressure on and I don't want to have to go asking all these questions. We actually have at the top a restaurant guide that goes into even more detail of what to order at different restaurants, or, you know, if you go to an Italian restaurant, you can ask for this and no butter. And so definitely click on that restaurant guide. But some of our favorite restaurants, I love Veggie Grill. Everything at Veggie Grill happens to be vegan. It is actually a vegan restaurant, but I love Veggie Grill. It's absolutely delicious. For myself, a lot of times I eat the Thai lettuce wraps at the Cheesecake Factory, and I just get no chicken. I sub avocado. I don't get the green tamarind sauce because that contains honey, and I don't eat honey. So, but I'll get it with the Korean fried cauliflower with no ranch, and it's like a whole meal. So it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, and then Yard House, like they have their own vegan section on their menu, which is really cool. Olive Garden breadsticks are vegan. That was like a cool find. I remember because they use margarine instead of butter, and so definitely eat all the breadsticks your heart desires. Pasta is a great vegan option when you're going out to eat. The other thing I'll add is Veggie Grill. There's a picture at the bottom. That's what I ordered at Veggie Grill for my birthday. I just wanted to try everything because they had vegan carrot cake, which is something I haven't had, and it's been 5 years for me. So that was really cool. They have like vegan mac and cheese, like all the things that you feel like you would miss out on if you became vegan. Like Veggie Grill definitely has a great like option for that. And then lastly, Red Robin. Any burger you order can be substituted for a vegan patty, and they have unlimited French fries. So that's also really a fun time. So yeah, definitely check out the link, the guide. At the bottom, there's also PETA has chain restaurants that like every vegan option for each chain, and PETA does a really great job of offering help to people who want to know about like what to eat in restaurants or fast food places. So definitely check out PETA as well. They're a great resource.
Yeah, I really like the seasoning on Red Robin's fries. so So let's say you just go to a restaurant. It's not one of those chain restaurants, and you just have no idea what to order. We've actually made this slide just for that. The fun thing is that in sourdough bread's like always vegan. So if they have sourdough bread, definitely get that. A lot of times bread rolls are vegan. A lot of breads are vegan, and we have a link to kind of help you out with that. French fries and tortilla chips, you just need most restaurants don't cook them in lard, which lard is animal fat. But you know, French fries and tortilla chips, just if you want to, just double check and say, hey, what do you cook your fries in? They'll be able to find out. Like it's normally canola oil or some sort of oil that's plant-based. Um, you can always get a salad with no cheese or croutons, and then you can change the dressing. A lot of times to vinaigrettes is okay. Or if you're really just not sure, you can just ask for olive oil and balsamic. You can get side of fruit. You can get veggies and rice with no butter. You can get tortillas with no butter. And then alcohol. So alcohol is a lot of times vegan. The actual like end product of alcohol, a lot of beers, a lot of wines, a lot of liquors are vegan. That's something that if you want to click on the link, it'll take you to barnivore.com, and you can actually, look up certain brands, because some brands do use animal products when they're filtering the drink. Every vegan feels differently about that. Some or like, like myself, I'm like, it's not in the final product. I don't feel like that's where the main fight lies. So as long as the actual drink itself doesn't contain any animal products, I'm fine. But other people want to be more vigilant about that. And so we have that link to hook you up to barnivore.com so that you can look it up for yourself.
Awesome. So vegan hacking everywhere and anywhere. So, I'm sure everyone likes to travel at some point. And, for me, when I've traveled, it's kind of been a stressful process because you're out of your comfort zone. You really don't know the lay of the land, and you don't know what, is vegan or if you can eat when you're going places. And so this slide is kind of for you to like figure out a general process for how to figure out if things are vegan no matter where you are. So the first thing I would say is you can always call ahead if you're planning to go somewhere. You can ask them if they have vegan options. Another thing which I do often is I'll look up the menu online. I'll see if they like have the ingredients, if I can kind of like, modify things to be vegan beforehand, so I don't have to like have that awkward moment when I get there. Like I already come with like something in mind, so I know what I'm gonna do. Be polite, communicate that you are vegan. I think a lot of people, it's just like they want to help you, so just try to tell them, hey, like for me, like I don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs. And people kind of understand, like, okay, like then these like options on the menu would be for you. And just talk your way through it and be polite. And then lastly, at least from my part of the slide, make sure you can just ask if there's a vegan or vegetarian menu. I think a lot of places they'll have like a V that like identifies foods that it is vegan or vegetarian. But yeah, it doesn't never hurts to ask. Just be polite.
Did want to answer real quick because I know you're going to have to go. Meredith, thank you so much for joining. And yes, we're actually going to be emailing a recording of this presentation and the actual slideshow where you can actually click on the links to the email that you registered for this event. So it'll be emailed to everybody shortly after the event. But thank you so much for joining and have a good night. So for myself, whenever I'm going to a vegan restaurant, or not a vegan, when I'm just going to a restaurant, I actually Google vegan at, and I'll click the restaurant name, vegan at Mimi's, vegan at Coco's. I don't know, vegan at whatever vegan restaurant or whatever restaurant you're going to. Because a lot of times someone has already made a blog post or a YouTube video or something that actually will list the items they have and either if they're already vegan or how you can easily modify them. Something about when you go to any restaurant, even if the restaurants, if whenever you go to any restaurant, there is going to be shared equipment. There is going to be, your Impossible Burger or your French fries or whatever. Very likely is going to be made on the same fryers and grills as non-vegan food. Everyone feels differently about this. It's all about your own comfort level and how you feel. The Impossible Burger that you're getting that's made on the same fryer, it definitely has the possibility for cross contamination, but then the ingredients of the actual burger and the burger itself is still a vegan item. So it really just depends on your comfort level on that. I know, unfortunately, there's a lot of kind of like debate in the vegan community about that. If you have a burger that's made on a fryer, as long as the burger is vegan, you're not eating something that's not vegan. But again, it's with everyone's comfort level. And then I know money's always kind of a little iffy to talk about. We did want to add to try to just think about how you're acting at the restaurant and, just how you're tipping your wait staff, because the wait staff are people too. They have biases, they have diets. You don't really want to give them a reason to not like vegans. We put 18 to 20%, but obviously 15% is definitely the standard, but 18 and 20% we've read in publications is a good rule of thumb. So it's just something you want to consider so that people aren't just like prejudging maybe who you are or what your ethics are with that.
Sweet. Slide. Okay, vegan apps. So applications make everything easy in life, right? So veganism is no different. Happy Cow is an app that I use constantly to explore new options near me, new vegan options near me. Actually, I took a picture of the Happy Cow app, and that's that grid of Los Angeles, you see like little icons that show like, vegan friendly, like how vegan friendly a restaurant is. And then people leave reviews. And so that's another great way if you just want to learn, what's available to you if you want to go out to eat. Happy Cow has been a really great app for that. Yelp actually has a vegan filter now. So I don't know how new this has been, but if you go on Yelp and, that's more of a standard for like finding reviews of places, you can actually find the filter for vegan, and then it will filter out some of the vegan, uh, or it'll filter out everything that's not vegan friendly. Another point is that you can actually look at reviews, so you can like search for veganism, like vegan options in the reviews, and so that will like send, like if you do Control F, I think maybe Bailey wants to jump in on to clarify, but I'm pretty sure you can search in the reviews, and that way you can find like the things that are reviews just for vegan food options as well.
Yeah, you can
Um,
actually, there's like a little, if you go to the reviews, there's a little search bar and you can type vegan and that's like a keyword search. And then it'll find reviews where people have talked about vegan foods or mention vegan in their reviews. And a lot of times they'll actually say, like, oh, I'm vegan, so I had this. And so that can really help.
Yeah. And then the last thing for me is that Google, like Google's like your best friend also, because you could just search like vegan food near me, and it'll like similar to like how Happy Cow has it set up. They can sort by like Google, using Google Maps, what vegan options are near you as well. So definitely don't be afraid to like use any of these apps to research when you're trying to find options.
Yeah. Um, so there's this app that I use all the time called Is It Vegan? And it's a free app where you actually can scan the label of, like, when you're grocery shopping, you scan the label of something and it'll actually as long as it's in its database, which there's a lot of foods in its database, it'll actually pull up like, this is for sure vegan. And it has like a little meter and it's like, this is for sure vegan because this is the stuff, or this is most likely vegan because it has this ingredient that usually is vegan, or this definitely is not vegan. So that really helps. It is an app that after you scan, it's the kind of thing where it'll show you an ad after like it shows you the result. It'll show you an ad before you can like scan again. So that's like the only annoying thing about it, but I actually really love that app and I use it all the time still. Um, Oshi Glows is an app. It's very cheap app. It has a lot of really good recipes. So if you just want, I really like to collect lots of recipes from different sources. So that's definitely a really good one. The pictures are so good looking of the food. It's like, it makes me hungry. And then there's another thing similar to that barnivore.com link that we gave you in the previous slide called BevVeg, where it's a free app where you can actually see what beverages are vegan.
Cool. So I got some feedback. We're going to the next slide. I got some feedback, and I realized that one of the things that is really important to include is recipes. And here is a very appetizing slide with lots of vegan options. Just to give you an idea, I wanted to organize it by different meal category, right? So breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, snacks. Um, I've pretty much eaten every single one of these things. So I can attest that what you're seeing here is like just as good as the picture. And so if you're ever like hungry and you don't know what to eat, sometimes you just need inspiration to like realize like how many things are available to you like to make. My like I just had pancakes like today, so like that pancake recipe is great. I had chocolate chips also. The tofu scramble is something like I've learned to love. Just egg is another perfect like vegan or egg substitute, which I've used for eggs. But yeah, there's just so many options. Like veggie burgers are like my favorite food. You can make your own pizza. Trader Joe's pizza dough is vegan, and so I've made my own pizza. It's like a really fun thing to do. And yeah, just don't feel like you're out of options like that. That's like the thing that I think is a misconception that like there aren't that many things you can eat. And so here's 18 options I just put together pretty quickly, but each one of these links also will include other ideas and other options from lots of websites that are trying to curate vegan recipes for you to try. And also the brownie in a mug is a great one because you make it in the microwave. So it only takes like 5 minutes and you get your own little individual size brownie.
I've made that tomato basil pasta. That was actually, I want to say that was one of the first recipes like that I made when I first went vegan. It's really delicious. I still make it. The tofu scramble is really good. The chocolate chip cookies are delicious. And then I haven't made these yet, but when we were putting this together, I actually clicked on the loaded potatoes and I'm like, gonna make that next. It looks so good.
Sweet. Awesome. So we're coming to the end of our presentation. I have some personal recommendations. I'm just going to start with the pictures because, just want to make everyone at this presentation feel really hungry. On the very right, you have what like my Thanksgiving, like vegan Thanksgiving looks like for me. The very bottom, you got your yams, cranberries, like cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, tofurkey, vegetables. Like it's really a full meal, and so that's been really something that's kept me going. Is like, I just like to show off every Thanksgiving. Like I can eat just as much as anyone else and feel like I had a full meal and it's vegan. So the waffles and pancakes are another favorite recipe. Another cookbook that I recommend, which is fun, Thug Kitchen. Um, there's a lot of expletives and curse words, but it's a fun way to like realize what's vegan, and the whole cookbook is vegan. What else do I have here? Oh, so obviously I volunteer with the Humane League. I've really benefited like in terms of a community, but also just learning like from what other people's experiences have been. And so I have a link to the Humane League if you'd like to get involved. Animal sanctuaries are like amazing. So if you haven't been to an animal sanctuary yet, it's like utopia for like what vegans like end goal is, right? You just want animals to be happy and to love them and see them in like a nice place. And so I definitely recommend checking out an animal sanctuary at some point. um Really quickly, the last two things. The video that inspired me to be vegan is The Most Important Speech You'll Ever Hear by Gary Yourofsky. It's on YouTube. He's very persuasive. He doesn't get too into the weeds about like the more graphic things involving factory farming. But in terms of, you know, veganism is healthier for you and, all the other reasons that you become vegan, Gary does a great way of talking about it and convincing people to be vegan. And lastly, Vegan 2020, the film. This just came out this month. It's on YouTube as well. It's by Plant Based News, and they do this every year. They do like a recap of the year and like all the things that veganism has benefited from or been impacted by. Like, you know, I think there was the dairy the dairy farm that went bankrupt was like definitely part of it. And this year was the pandemic. The pandemic started in a meat market in China, and then it mutated again at a mink farm. And so all these things are like if the world was vegan, we wouldn't have these problems. And so I think this film does a great job of talking about that as well.
Okay, so I want to give my personal recommendations. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I actually barely even listen to music anymore when I'm driving. It's usually just podcasts. I love the Our Hen House podcasts. And I put pictures of the Our Hen House, or I put a picture of the Our Hen House podcast logo so that if you are looking for a podcast to listen to that's all about changing the world for animals, all about veganism, and they're interviewing different people that in different ways are helping make the world a better place for animals. It can actually be really inspiring. They talk to authors, they talk to educators, all kinds of things. So I love the Our Hen House podcasts. Um, when I first went vegan, and I still listen to every one of her podcast episodes, I listened to the Food for Thought podcast by Colleen Patrick Goodrow. She's basically like she's been vegan for like over 20 years, and she is all about being compassionate and showing compassion, even to people that you don't agree with. Like, it's not just about compassion for animals, but just living a really compassionate lifestyle. And which takes me to her book, The Joyful Vegan. which I have a picture of right there. It's just really inspiring. It's really, I really like that book because it shows like different stages that people kind of go through when they become vegan. Like they want to get all this information, or maybe they want to tell all their friends about it, or maybe they're kind of afraid to kind of come out as vegan. So that's something that I definitely would recommend um, looking into if you just want something that relates to you. Um, Obviously, for me and for a lot of people, vegan goes beyond just what we eat. I only buy cruelty-free products now. I only buy products that are vegan. And the Logical Harmony website, she will tell you if a product is cruelty free. And then if that product is cruelty free, she has a lot of blog posts and resources of what vegan items that company has. So I am always going to her website and looking things up. I actually do have a YouTube channel and I've linked it right here. I put together a video about, I don't know, like a year ago. I put together a video of some pretty graphic imagery of things that videos that I saw of footage that really had compelled me to go vegan. So if you're in the state where maybe you just feel like maybe you need a push, or you just feel like, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm kind of having a hard time. It's not an easy video to watch. It's called the Dominion video. But then there's also easier videos to watch called the Vegan Tips YouTube series, where I basically just go through like how to go and stay vegan. And I cover a lot of stuff in this presentation. Um, or, like how to be vegan if because there's that myth that veganism is more expensive. And I give a whole video on how to be vegan and not, break the bank. I also have a whole Pinterest board because where I normally get my recipes from is Pinterest. So I actually have a whole Pinterest board that is linked up here with all kinds of different vegan foods. The Easy Vegan Nacho Cheese is in there. My favorite slow cooker curry is in there. Got a lot of different things. And yeah, my favorite recipe, slow cooker curry served over rice. That link takes you directly to the recipe. I still make it all the time. And it gives me about 8 servings. So me and my wife are able to eat it like 4 different nights, and it refrigerates nicely. It's delicious, really healthy for you. So
Sweet. All right. Final thoughts. Last slide. So vegan food really isn't that, it's not that complicated. It's just, vegan food is just food minus animal cruelty, right? It's that simple. So don't try to overthink it. I know there's a lot of information we just like threw at you, but just remember that we're trying to avoid, the cruelty of animals when we're eating, or when we're, like Bailey said, like buying anything from like food products to beauty products. Everyone goes through a learning curve. So, you know, it's just like hard in the beginning because there's so much information. But remember, the ultimate goal is to limit animal suffering as much as possible. So focus on the positive impact that you'll make in the long run. I've been vegan for almost 5 years now. And what I do every vegan anniversary that I have is I do the vegan calculator, and I remind myself how many animals that I've saved, by being vegan, and that just keeps me motivated to do it another year. It's a process, but veganism is more than a diet. It's a lifestyle choice that values all life, right? We want to make sure that we're not hurting animals. We're being conscious consumers by avoiding animal products.
yeah, another thing to realize that I still have to continually tell myself is that veganism is a journey. It's not a destination. Maybe you're having a really hard time now. Take it one day at a time. Take it one meal at a time. If you are starting out, or I mean, wherever you are in your journey, if you have a moment of slip up, whether on accident or whether on purpose, don't think that that means like, oh, you lost your V card. Like just get back up, just, eat vegan again, like next meal, keep going. Eventually being vegan really won't be so difficult. It just becomes second nature. It's not hard for me. It hasn't been hard for me in a really long time. Because it just is something that can really come second nature, especially when you have the tools. Obviously, I love Colleen Patrick Goudreau, and one of her quotes that just really inspires me is, "Don't do nothing because you can't do everything." do something. That could be, whether it's environmental, whether it's for animals, for whatever reason. Just you don't have to just do nothing because you can't go like 100%. Maybe today you're like, I don't feel like I could give up honey, or I don't feel like I could give up this thing or whatever. That doesn't mean that you have to go eat steak or something. So just do everything that you can, because even every little bit is helping animals. Oh, and then so we'll get to the questions. Definitely, if you have more questions or even comments, feel free to use some of these questions as kind of a guide to maybe give yourself some inspiration if you want to add anything. So,
Awesome.
Ethan, I'll click in the chat and I'll go to the top and try to get to some questions.
Yeah, we're at the question and answer part. So thank you. This is the end of the presentation. If you came here with like individual questions that you wanted answers to, now is the perfect time to like unmute yourself, just like, introduce yourself and like like maybe like Bailey and I can help you like while we're here. So yeah, that this part of this part of the event is now for the audience, for you guys.
So one question I do want to pose from the chat is, as someone who has an allergic reaction to soy, what do you suggest are great soy-free options? Because unfortunately, there's so many with soy included. Oh, do you have any idea? I mean, I can answer that, but
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I just would definitely suggest I mean, the first thing I would do is I would Google vegan foods without soy, because I'm sure Google would be able to really give you a wealth of information. Thankfully now, you can make a lot of recipes that they'll ask you to do some sort of plant-based milk, and you could use oat milk or flax milk or um, almond milk or something else. Um, I'm not thinking of any specific brands that are like soy free, but I definitely think that they're out there. I just, as someone myself that doesn't have a soy allergy, it's not something I've really looked for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Michelle asked, best tasting true melts cheese, question mark, thoughts on processed plant-based meats, and then they are good maybe for a quick meal once in a while, but should we really eat them often? um I'm not like a nutritionist, so I can't speak to like how often you should eat these things, but a general rule of thumb is like processed food probably isn't good for your health like in the long run. Like it's probably better to focus on like a whole foods plant-based diet. I personally am more of a junk food vegan. So
Me
that gives
too.
that gives you an idea. Like I'll probably be the one eating like the diet cheese, like pizza. I remember like Whole Foods had their, I think it was diet cheese, but they had like this deal where it's for $6 you can get a whole cheese pizza, and you can substitute it for vegan cheese for free. And so pretty much every Friday I would get like a Whole Foods vegan pizza and eat it by myself. So and then the last part about the processed plant-based meats, it's probably, like I said, not a good idea to eat these things too much. I remember when I first ate like a Beyond Burger, it felt like I was cheating because it just felt too close to the real thing. So I like to buy the burgers that have like carrots or like something that looks like a vegetable, because like my fear is I'm gonna eat like an actual meat burger by accident. So that's just my own personal preference though. What about you, Bailey?
Well, and then I would say that like that would be when you'd go to the slide with the Venn diagram and you'd really be like, why am I going vegan? Because I personally went vegan solely for the ethics. I still do try to eat very healthy, very whole foods a lot of times, but I'll definitely add, tofurkey plant-based meats in there sometimes, or cheeses, or Gardein stuff. So if somebody is vegan and they really want to concentrate on health, then you definitely are going to want to look more into the whole foods plant-based things. But if you're I would also say that that even the processed foods, they're not going to have the cholesterol. So I'm not saying that they're health foods, but they're still not going to have the heart artery filling cholesterol. So while they're not necessarily healthy, I mean, I would argue that obviously neither is meat or dairy. So So yeah, I definitely don't think it's something that if you want to be like the pinnacle of health, probably don't eat it all the time. But uh if you want convenience, or just kind of put it sporadically through your diet so that maybe you want that taste and that substitute, but then you're also getting really healthy whole foods.
Right. And like for me, like my favorite like food item before I was vegan was a burger and fries. So just swapping out the patty, like I didn't have to change anything really, and I'm still like not harming animals. So it's a preference thing. But Jennifer had a great tip in the chat. I'm gonna share it with you guys. Also fun sometimes to ask the server to see if the chef could just whip up something vegan. I've had some of the most amazing meals that way. Yeah. So if you guys are out to eat and you maybe just ask like if the chef could like put something vegan together, like a vegan surprise, and that could be a fun way to go out to eat and eat something different.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling, seeing if another question in vegan sweets, why is there so much sugar from regular to sugar to artificial sweeteners? Because I know if I consume too many, I regain my weight. I guess I'm a little confused by the question. Do you understand it?
Uh, oh, I see. Okay. Mhm. Hmm. Alyssa still here? Can she like maybe like ask the question a different way? I'm also kind of confused.
Oh, and then the soy replacement, pump foo, is a pumpkin tofu that Elena is telling us about. So it's going to be a good replacement for soy tofu. So there's another answer to the soy question.
Beans, lentils, and nuts also for the soy question.
And then there's a girl on YouTube and TikTok who does allergy-free recipes. Her name is Pink It. So that would help. What are some of your favorite vegan? So Alyssa, if you're still there, we would love if you want to pop in. You can interrupt us and ask the question. And then hi, Mika. It's so good to have you here. Mika's actually a really good friend of mine. Um, what are some of our favorite vegan finger food munchies to keep your appetite satisfied between meals? You want to go ahead and start with that one, Ethan?
Yeah. Let me go back to. Can I go back to the slide?
Yeah.
Mm, it's my computer is slow, but that slide with the snacks, like those three snacks are things that I like definitely snack on a lot. Avocado toast or like an avocado bagel. I've done that a lot. Potatoes. Basically, there's like a million ways you can eat a potato, which is like amazing. I didn't realize that. So definitely get like creative with your potatoes if you want to snack on something. And then hummus is another great one. If you just have like carrots or like celery, you want to dip in hummus. Um, like
I
those
like chips.
or you can go chips. Yeah, that or
I like tortilla chips. I like bean fields is like kind of like a tortilla chip, but they're made out of beans, which tortilla chips are vegan too, but the ones that are made out of beans, they just have more fiber and more protein, and I find them more filling, but I like them both. I like chips and salsa. I like popcorn. I make popcorn a lot. It's super cheap. Getting, one of those big bags of uncooked kernels, just cooking it over um coconut oil, and then I'll add either nutritional yeast, which adds even more B12 to your diet, and it tastes good. It kind of tastes a little kind of like nutty, cheddary. But I also just, add lemon garlic seasoning. So I really like that. I also really like apples dipped in peanut butter. So just get like a big glob of peanut butter and put it in a bowl, and then cut up some apples and just dip it. It's actually really healthy. And then it's kind of really, it's not kind of really, it's really delicious. And it kind of satisfies my sweet tooth because I have a very big sweet tooth.
yeah. I want to share. I think Miranda like offered an answer to one of our previous questions. So Miranda said that there's some healthier vegan meat and cheeses like cashew cheese, lentil-based sausage patties from Hillary's, and then veggie burgers. So that's true as well. You can find healthier vegan like substitutes as well. Where there's so many options. I feel like even in the 5 years that I've been vegan, like every year, there's just so many more options because there's more vegans every year. So companies want to cater to us. So just be on the lookout for the next, best thing to try.
Miranda asks, do you recommend any supplements or vitamins being on a vegan diet? So I do recommend, it'd be good to get your blood work done. I think everybody of every diet should probably annually or, every few years, definitely get your blood work done and see if you're missing anything, because no matter what diet, people can be deficient on D3 and not really know it, or be deficient with B12. B12 is actually something that is harder to get on a vegan diet because B12 comes from a bacteria, and we used to drink unfiltered water and get the B12 that way. But now animals that are used for meat, a lot of times they're given the supplement of B12. So it's good idea as a vegan to just take, one of those little B12 kind of things. If you're not going to super track your diet on like what vitamins you're getting, it's always a good idea to like maybe get a little B12 supplement. You can find them pretty cheap on Amazon. I'll take a vegan kind of 1-a-day multivitamin from Amazon by the brand Deva. It's DEVA. So I definitely would recommend looking in. If you're not going to super track your nutrients, it's a good idea to consider taking a 1-a-day, get a blood test done, see if there's anything that you might be deficient in that would be a good idea to kind of supplement.
Right. Yeah, it's important to health is always the number one thing, right? If you're not healthy, veganism isn't as important, right? It's your health first. But I just wanted to share, I have like this vegan substitute that or not substitute, vitamin supplement, B12. I got it at Costco. Kind of a scary story, actually. One of my former bosses, who's vegan, like lifelong vegan, he like wasn't feeling good, and I think he like collapsed and like had to go to the doctor or the hospital, and they told him that like he had like a B12 deficiency, and that was like probably why he like collapsed. And so now he takes like a supplement every day. Most people like it's not as scary. Like if you have like nutritional yeast or like some kind of B12 in your diet, it doesn't need to get to that point. But I take a supplement like every week, and I just do that so that I never have to worry about that, if that's a thing for you. I hope no one ever has to deal with that. And like that's probably an outlier, but that was motivating enough for me to buy like a Kirkland size B12 supplement.
So I'm showing right now the multivitamin I take, Deva Vegan Multivitamin. It has B12 in here. It has vitamin D2. If you want vitamin D3 specifically, there definitely is vegan vitamin D3 on Amazon as well. But this is actually a really affordable. You can't really see it because of the light. Okay, Deva vegan multivitamin. So I know we don't have this on the slide. If you are interested, definitely take a quick note down that this it's a really good supplement, kind of 1-a-day, and definitely really affordable. So someone says, oh, I think this might be a common thing, is that timing is kind of an issue. Started my vegan journey at the beginning of the month, and it's much harder than I thought. My biggest challenge is time. It's hard to find the time to create a decent meal. So I've been eating a lot of hummus. Baby steps, I guess. Definitely baby steps. I mean, pat yourself on the back, keep going. I hope that with this presentation, with the accidentally vegan slide, and that you can click on when you get it, you can click on the link to that. You'll be able to find a lot more kind of snacks and easier vegan options. And then with the vegan fast food, if you're having a hard time with time, but you're able to get fast food, we have that whole slide. So hopefully that can be an assistant to you.
Yeah, also want to add to that. That sounds like when I first started and I was just eating peanut butter and banana or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was like a time thing, but it was also like you have to take time to research what you're eating and figure out if it's vegan or not. And so it can be very daunting when you first start. So yeah, I really recommend also going back to that accidentally vegan slide, because you'll find things that you're already eating that are vegan, and that
Yeah.
you don't have to think about it, because you've already done the research. And like these, if you find like 5 to like 10 things that are accidentally vegan that you're already eating, then that really puts the pressure off of you to like find the time and research and do all that when you're first starting off.
Another big thing I eat for time, I eat Cliff Bars a lot. Regular Cliff Bars, like I think there's one that has honey and it actually says like its title says honey in it. But just regular Cliff Bars, chocolate chip Cliff Bars, white chocolate Cliff Bars, that's definitely a convenient food because I notice I'll run out of time. So just having like a Cliff Bar on me to be able to like, if I'm out for the day and I need a quick snack and I don't want to have to like find a place or even spend more money or whatever, can be a really filling vegan option just to kind of tide you over. I do want to let everyone know that we're going to continue staying on. And if you have more questions, either feel free to type them or to unmute yourself and ask. But we do want to respect people's time. And so thank you so much for coming. And if you want to stay on or ask more questions, like we'll still be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we will be sending the presentation and this recording out probably later tonight. So yeah, thank you. And we hope that this helped you in some way, or maybe you can like share some of the things you've learned with some of your friends who are also trying to be vegan.
So I am interested in knowing if anyone still is here, or for everyone that's still here, what's something, if you haven't already, if you haven't already voiced it, obviously, but what's something that maybe you're struggling the most with when it comes to even starting vegan or staying vegan?
Yeah, you're welcome. There's a lot of comments in the chat about just thanking us, but anyone want to jump in? Is there anything that surprised you when you learned about it? Like when you have like listened to this, now that you're at the end of the presentation, like what was the most surprising thing that you may have learned?
Prep and reading ingredients. I had a tomato sauce the other day that said at the end it contains milk. I have totally been there. And that is really, it's really annoying to me when something that, obviously if I'm looking at something that looks like it might not be vegan, it's not going to surprise me if it says it has milk or eggs. But when something just, it's like, why does this need milk? Why do these lime flavored tortilla chips need milk? So that can be really annoying. So yeah, if you don't already know if something's vegan, it's always good to just kind of go over. I know, why with the lime flavor, right?
Mikachu says, my biggest challenge is shopping. What?
Just I usually get frustrated and buy another jar of hummus. Sounds like a good solution to me, but you might get sick of the hummus.
Yeah. Actually, so these kind of things like happen even after you've been vegan for a long time. I was shopping at Aldi recently, like last week, and there was like a vegan chicken nugget thing that I bought in the freezer section. I was all excited because I like, miss chicken nuggets, and it said that it was made with plants, and I was like good to go. And then when I got home, it said it also contained egg whites. I'm like, why?
Oh, so they said made with plants because
Well,
it's made with a lot of plants, but oh, that's
right. And
annoying.
so, and then in the ingredients, which I did check the ingredients, it said vegan fibers. And so it totally implied that it was vegan. And I was so like upset. I actually reached out to them directly, and they're gonna like refund me. But apparently they did make it vegan. And like this is just old this is like an old like sock that so they took out the egg whites because of people like me that were upset. Because it
Good.
wasn't necessary, I guess. And it's just taking a while for like the inventory to change, but they said that I can like get the next one for free. So I told my family they can have my vegan or non-vegan plants made with plant chicken nuggets. And so, you know, it is what it is. You just have to like roll with the punches, you know.
Yeah, like I still, man, the other day I was so mad. There was this brand and they have plant-based ranch, plant-based Caesar, and then a blue cheese. And it was all like lined together and the wording all looked the same. And I bought the blue cheese and I realized that it had milk and I was like, nope. I was like, I'm so mad. So, I mean, it just happens. I guess I'm just saying this to say that even when you've been vegan for 4 years, like you're gonna make screw ups, not necessarily, I mean, maybe on purpose, but sometimes you just make an accidental screw up and it's just about being human and getting back up and keep going for the animals and doing what you can. Um, so I just don't want, like I was saying, you're not gonna lose your V card. You're not, don't beat yourself up. Just move on.
Yeah, there was a joke that I removed in my final thought slide.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, um, there's no vegan police, but there is a vegan prison. I've been there. It's a cool place. Like, I don't know if you like, no one's gonna tell you like, hey, that's not vegan. Why are you eating that? Like, it's just like, in the end of the day, it's like a personal decision you're making. So don't like beat yourself up for like making like a mistake or, whoops, like I made this mistake too. Like I think I talked about it, but I was at a bonfire like within like 6 months of being vegan. I was at a bonfire and I wanted marshmallows and I wanted to like have s'mores. I was all excited, and someone who was like knew what gelatin was like, "Why are you eating that marshmallow?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it's just like part of the process. It's now I know what gelatin is. I avoid it. I didn't realize, that they use animal bones to like make gelatin, which seems so like back ass word. Um, but it's something that you learn about, you like correct your behavior and you move on. Like it's just don't like let it stop you from being vegan, and try not to let it ruin your day also. Like it's just part of the process.
So Ethan,
Yeah.
can you have a vegan cheat day and still be vegan?
Um I mean, yes. Like that's my answer. Is the short answer is yes. I'll give like a quick story because I'm full of stories all of a sudden. I went traveling to Europe for the first time by myself, and I wanted to stay vegan, but I was also like uncomfortable. I didn't know where to. Half the time, I didn't know where I was gonna like sleep, let alone like what I was gonna be eating. And so on that trip, I decided I'd be vegetarian. And so for a month I was vegetarian. I really would try to be vegan if I could, but I didn't let it stop me, because when you're in a place like that where dairy is in everything. Like I remember when I was in France, for some reason, like the only thing you could eat that was vegan was like a roll, like a baguette.
Like a baguette,
So
yeah.
like I'm not gonna be able to survive off of a baguette in France, So I would say yes, you can be vegan. You can have a cheat day, you can have a cheat month. I was traveling and that was my own personal decision. But in the long run, like, I would say I'm vegan like 95% of the time. And that 5% where I'm not vegan, it's because of like the things we talked about, where like you make mistakes, but then you move on and you can still be vegan and still help a lot of animals and have like a cheat day every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't being that I'm vegan for ethical reasons, I think you have to really look into why are you vegan? You know, are you vegan for health? Are you vegan for the environment? Are you vegan for animals? Um, I definitely wouldn't like I don't beat anyone up that's not vegan either. Like even people that are like full on like eat meat, dairy, and eggs, I don't want to shame or beat anyone up. But because I'm vegan for animals, I wouldn't want to encourage having a cheat day. But at the same time, like you still got to remember that even if you have that cheat day, all those other days that you're eating vegan, like Ethan was saying, you're helping so many animals. So I guess more just trying to remember of what you are doing that's awesome. And even like, you know, maybe considering challenging yourself and pushing yourself. I mean, definitely for the first 6 months of transitioning, I was vegan like most of the time, but I wasn't vegan full time. And then even when I first went full vegan, I still occasionally would have stuff with honey, which, you know, we were talking about is kind of a debatable topic. And now I don't eat anything that has animal products, but that doesn't make me any better than anyone else. It's more just me trying to be better than the person I was. So
Yeah. Rohan made a good point. He said most forms of transportation aren't vegan. And my response to that is like you have to go back to that slide where you're defining veganism for yourself. I think transportation would like fall under like the environment category. Maybe
rubber for tires a lot of times has animal products, but you
yeah,
know, we got to drive our cars in the world we live in and there's no vegan alternative. So
yeah. So until we can teleport, Rohan, no, no, but like seriously, even with like the transportation example, like you have to decide what's important for yourself. Like, what are your vegan values? And then once you decide that, it kind of helps you like figure out what you should be doing with your lifestyle because veganism is a lifestyle. It's more than a diet. Transportation, beauty products, like basically anything you can do, like could impact, like has like impacts from like a supply chain perspective. You know, even palm oil, which we like didn't cover, but palm oil, like it ruins the environments of like animals, and so
but then
it's
it's
not.
still considered by some vegan because it doesn't actually come from an animal. So it's, yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
keep
so
going,
it's
Ethan.
like it's it. Yeah, exactly. Just like don't overcomplicate it at first. When you're ready to research these things, decide for yourself if that is worth um like changing your behavior over. Like, do you want to support, certain transportation industries or, certain like foods based off of things that aren't exactly like a direct impact on animals. Like it could be indirect and still like be in this gray area, and that's up to the individual to decide. In my from my personal perspective.
Yeah, for me, something that, you know, can be kind of touchy in the vegan world is that I have cats and cats are obligate carnivores and they have to eat meat. And so am I going to feed my cats, you know, meat or am I going to let them suffer? And obviously I don't want my cats, my babies and my and their animals too, obviously. I don't want them to suffer. But I think it kind of goes back to that don't do nothing because you can't do everything. So I have to feed my cats meat until you know lab grown meat is to where it's affordable and actually made for pet food, and then I could look into that. But just because I feed my cats meat doesn't mean I need to feed myself meat or dairy or whatever. So I think it's definitely a thing about same with transportation. Like, okay, so you have to do a non-vegan form of transportation, but you can still look into other ways to live the compassionate lifestyle of like not eating meat, dairy, or eggs or whatever.
Yeah, awesome. So are there any final like questions? I feel like we should wrap up soon, but thank you so much. There's just a lot of love in the chat. So
I
um
know.
really
This
glad
is
that this
great.
was like resourceful and valuable to all of you. And I think Bailey and I can both agree that we wish we had this presentation when we started like our vegan journeys, because there's just all this. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to learn on your own, and it doesn't have to be that way. And so hopefully, this is just a quick way for you to just find out how to like how to eat vegan and make it easier, and it's not like so daunting that you don't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree.